Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking, and welcome to the In-Flight News Report. And today I continue my Star Wars tirade with reckless abandon. But first, let's check the headlines. Bears take over family's backyard for 10 whole years. Alright, let's click into this. Oh, come on! Enough of this crap. Not even relevant anymore. Alright, today I asked the question, what is a Mary Sue? And then I'm going to answer that question, because that's the video. A Mary Sue is an idealized and seemingly perfect fictional character. Often this character is recognized as an author insert or a form of wish fulfillment. They can usually perform better at tasks than should be possible given the amount of training or experience, and usually are able through some means to upstage the main protagonist of the story, such as by saving the hero. A male can also be referred to as a Marty Stew, a Larry Stew, or a Gary Stew, but Mary Sue is used more commonly. So what is the origin of the term? The term Mary Sue comes with the name of a character created by Paula Smith in 1973 for her parody story, A Trekkie's Tale, published in her fanzine Menagerie No. 2. The story starred Lieutenant Mary Sue, the youngest lieutenant in the fleet, only 15 and a half years old at the time, and satirized unrealistic characters in Star Trek fanfiction. By 1976, Menagerie's editors stated that they disliked such characters, saying, Mary Sue stories, the adventures of the youngest and smartest ever person to graduate from the academy and ever get a commission at such a tender young age, usually characterized by unprecedented skill and everything from art to zoology, including karate and arm wrestling. This character can also be found burrowing her way into the good graces and hearts and minds of one of the big three, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, if not all three at once. She saves the day by her wit and ability, and if we are lucky, has the good grace to die at the end, being grieved by the entire ship. Mary Sue today has changed from its original meaning and now carries a generalized, although not universal, connotation of wish fulfillment, and is commonly associated with self-insertion, though the characterization of upstaging the main protagonist remains fundamental. True self-insertion is a literal and generally undisguised representation of the author. Most characters described as Mary Sues are not an undisguised representation of the author, but the negative connotation comes with this wish fulfillment implication. The Mary Sue is judged as a poorly developed character, too perfect and lacking in realism to be interesting. Got a lot of criticism. And Marty, Gary Stew, or Larry Stew are alternative label names given to this trope when the same wish fulfillment aspect is applied to male characters. The Star Trek The Next Generation character Wesley Crusher was described in hostile terms as a Gary Stew by the feminist pop culture magazine Bitch. I don't use language like that, that's the name of the magazine. Indeed, there is speculation amongst fans and academics, mainly pejorative, that Wesley was a self-insertion character for Gene Roddenberry. Roddenberry's middle name being Wesley. How dare you criticize Gene Roddenberry with your very soft criticism? Further variant names have been suggested based on the specific personality of a Mary Sue, such as Einstein Sue, an implausibly intelligent character, Mary Sue, as in Sun Tzu, one with unrealistically sharp tactical acumen, Jerk Sue, a short-tempered character who lashes out, yet is still loved by those around him. That sounds familiar. Who does that sound like? Oh, get out of here. Enough of you. Or Sympathetic Sue, a depressed character who is meant to incur the reader's sympathy. Well, there's none of that here. No, look at this. The Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode Superstar has been analyzed as being a deliberate satire of Mary Sue type stories. That's interesting. Little shout out for Buffy there. So, this is where we get to the meat of the story. the whole reason why we're talking about it. A popular subject of debate pertains to whether the Star Wars sequel trilogy features a Mary Sue and its protagonist Rey. Screenwriter Max Landis opines that the character fits this description, claiming that Rey is excessively gifted at a variety of skills. Conversely, Caroline Frampke of Vox contended that Rey did not fit the Mary Sue profile, stating that any additional skills Rey has, mechanical work, hand-to-hand combat, climbing, etc., are explained when we first meet her. No, they're not. No, they're not. If she hadn't picked up those skills, she'd probably be dead. I'm gonna leave that one alone. Other writers, such as Tasha Robinson of The Verge, have defended the idea of Rey being a Mary Sue, saying that for women who felt underrepresented through decades, where most of the ladies on screen were victims, tokens, rewards, or shrews, it's natural to feel a sugar rush of fulfillment over characters like Katniss Everdeen and Imperator Furiosa. So that was a somewhat oddly worded sentence. It says she defended the idea of Rey being a Mary Sue. So it sounds like she agrees that Rey's a Mary Sue, but she seems to contradict that. So maybe that's just me. But it's funny to me that she mentions two characters that aren't Rey. Katniss Everdeen. I don't think she's a Mary Sue. Like, it's been a while since I've watched those movies, but I don't think Katniss is a Mary Sue. I think she's got weakness. She's got heart and stuff. So I don't think she's a Mary Sue. And I don't know about Furiosa. But Eric Kane in Forbes defines Mary Sue and argues that Rey's abilities do not make her one, given the details of her allegedly established backstory. Well, so, I think Rey is a Mary Sue. I think she is. Why do I think that? For one, she has no weakness. She learns nothing but knows everything. Like her uncanny ability to simply be able to fly the Millennium Falcon. But the only thing that I could really say in her defense is that she was living on this Tatooine clone world as a scavenger, and it's likely that she would have some mechanical expertise, and maybe she could fly a speeder or something like that. I think it's somewhat of a stretch for her to be able to fly the Millennium Falcon, but more than that, she uses the Force with absolutely no training whatsoever. She defeats a trained saber combatant the very first time she picks up a lightsaber. I think those are pretty indicative of a Mary Sue. And this is just The Force Awakens. So, and there's a whole other can of beans to say why she's a Mary Sue, but that alone I think covers it. So that's my conclusion. Alright, that's enough for me. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. Feel free to leave a comment below and share it with your fellow passengers, and subscribe if you want to see more. And as always, make sure your seat back and tray tables are in their upright and fixed position, and I will see you on the beach.